So yesterday, Republican voters braved sub-zero temperatures to cast their votes in the Iowa Caucus, which can give a preview of which candidate the party is leaning towards making the nominee you-know-who. He dominated with 51% of the vote. Ron DeSantis came in with 21% of the vote, narrowly beating Nikki Haley, who garnered 19% of the vote. And here's what they all had to say about it. Take a look.
I really think this is time now for everybody, our country, to come together. We want to come together. I want to congratulate Ron and Nikki for having a good time together. We're all having a good time together.
Because of your support, in spite of all of that they threw at us, everyone against us, we've got our ticket punched out of Iowa.
I can safely say, tonight, Iowa made this Republican primary a two-person race.
Well, hindsight is 2020. What do we got going on here? Well, this is The View, of course, if you didn't recognize the hosts of this show, talking about the Iowa Caucus, which is all wrapped up and done, and we know that Donald Trump is going to be the person running on the ballot for the 2024 Republican Party. Now, as far as the braving sub-zero weather is concerned, these people, they make such a big deal out of the winters in the Midwest. They never lived in the Midwest. I think one of these women claims that she lived in Iowa. Born and raised, northwestern Illinois. Been all over Iowa, from one end to the other. Been all over Illinois, too. The thing is, yeah, going out in the winter, it's a freaking pain in the neck, among other things. But people have to do it anyway. Do you think that the doctors are all calling in sick? The nurses are all calling in sick? The TV station operators are all calling in sick when they get 18 inches of snow and it's sub-zero weather? No. I had to go to school. I had to go to college when it was like this. What kind of essential job was that, right? You can take a day off college, but nope, you have to go. So it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, before we get any farther into this, obviously what this is going to be is the response of The View to the presidential caucus in Iowa, and we'll have to see what they have to say. It's going to be fun, but before we go any farther, thank you all for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Find me over on Rumble and on Twitter, on BitChute. Now let's get back to the video.
Yeah, between Trump and Biden. That's what it looked like to me.
I don't know what she was referring to. I'm hoping for insight from the table, because I didn't know what she was talking about. But,
so,
yeah.
Honestly, it's disappointing as a non-Trump supporter to see that.
Iowan.
And an Iowan. Well, let me offer some color to this, though, to clarify this. It's disappointing to see that come out of Iowa, but let me add a little perspective and context.
Do you really expect anything else from Iowa? Trump is like the working man's candidate. You don't have to like Trump. I don't care. I don't care what you think about Trump. I'm not here to defend him. I'm not here to persecute him. I'm just here to talk about what these women are saying, and it's not good. Yeah, what did you expect coming out of there? A place where it's like they have the strong family values. It's historically been America's breadbasket, the farming community. That's all about having lots of kids, raising those kids to maintain your farm.
That's very important. Only 5% of the population of the state caucuses. So when you see Iowa swept, or Trump swept Iowa, no, he did not. He swept 5% of the population.
Which is pretty typical for a caucus in Iowa, 5%. You have to understand that, 25%, something like that, are below voting age. And then you got another, 5% or 10% that are out of it and aren't going to vote because they're too old, they're too disabled. And then you got another 10% that are felons that can't vote. So you're looking at you're missing 40% of the population already who just can't vote. So you're only looking at 60%. That's a significant amount of people coming out to vote.
Only 13% of registered Republicans in the state of Iowa, 13% of the party showed up for that. And only 3 times in the past 8 Republican caucuses have they even predicted the candidate. So although I am a proud Iowan and we love our caucus time because it makes you feel seen in a country where Iowa, we admittedly we lead simple lives. Like nobody's checking on us. We're fine. We love the caucuses. We didn't earn it. We just get it historically. It's important to know those numbers when you're reading headlines because the headlines don't give you context. These are small numbers, and it's very important to remember that.
So what did you say, 5%?
5.
So let me ask you then, let's say that she's right, and then all this, and I'm wrong about my perspective on it. That's fine. What percentage of the country's population actually participates in the voting process? And it's not anywhere near the total voting population, right? It's a lot less. My mother has never voted, ever. She's like, I don't care about that.
5% of the entire voting population in the state showed up.
But this is what the 5% voted for. They voted for a guy who today had to come to New York to show up in court in a case against a woman that a federal judge has already said he raped.
Oh, federal judges are the arbiter of truth then. They say, oh, yeah, you did it, therefore, you're guilty of it, period. That's it. That's how it is. Look, I don't know the ins and outs of Trump's legal battles that he's going through here, but we all know a lot of this stuff is made up. We got Biden who had classified documents in his garage too. Oh, but Trump's the one who's getting in trouble for it. That doesn't make any sense. They're trying to tell me that Mar-a-Lago is, it's only worth, what did they say, $20 million or some ridiculously low amount of money. If you look on Zillow, you can see the property next door to his that's just smaller and not as nice. Next door to Mar-a-Lago, on both sides, they're worth more than what the judge is saying that they're worth on Zillow. I don't know. You explain it to me. Look, I'm not trying to defend Trump. I don't want to have to defend Trump. You guys stop lying about Trump.
That is who you voted for.
Yeah.
You voted for someone who has lost so many times now that this applies to him.
Yeah, people who are out there actually doing something, who are not gifted a crappy daytime TV show, have to actually try and fail. I've lost how many times in my life? How many times have I been a loser in my life? I could not count that. I could not calculate that number. But you pick yourself up and you keep going.
Let's see, what else? You voted for a guy who said, come, risk your lives for the Grand Wizard.
That's defamation. She said, risk your lives for the Grand Wizard. Now, those of you who are not savvy on this information here, the Grand Wizard is the leader of the KKK. So she's saying that Trump is racist. But these people right here will sit here with a smile on their face and tell you that white people are evil.
Come in the snow and the sleet because I am more important than your life.
Yeah, see, Joy Behar does not know how people in the Midwest deal with winters outside of the big cities. My family that I have in Chicago, it's like, compared to where you're from, it's easy dealing with winters here. We just hang out inside. We walk outside and walk to our office, or we get in our car and we drive to our office, and that's it.
That's who the 5% voted for.
Well, in building off of what Sarah said, by the way, I think our primary system is shot. I think we should have sort of regional primaries that are actually more representative of the country. But last night, 48% of Iowa Republican primary voters, deep red Iowa, voted for someone other than Donald Trump. Now, that doesn't help someone like me because the ticket is split between a Nikki, a Vivek, who's now out, and a DeSantis. But it does tell me that he is far less popular than he was in 2020. Now, of course, he was uncontested in the Iowa Caucus in 2020. But he won 97%. There's an appetite for something different, but the strategy to overcome him has been flawed. Here's the thing. I think he's incredibly weak in a general election. There was an exit poll or entrance poll from last night. 32% of, again, deep red Iowa primary voters came out and said if he is convicted, they will not vote for him.
Yeah, they probably said that, but they probably don't mean it. And look what happened with Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley now. I mean, so DeSantis and Vivek are gone completely. I think Nikki Haley, she's trying to hang on, but it's over. So I don't know what to tell you. Like I said, hindsight's 2020.
That's actually pretty stunning. You cannot win the presidential election without that 30% block. Here's my note to Democrats, though. The number one issue for voters who turned out last night was border security. Democrats have to wake up to the fact, and John Fetterman said this well, caring about border security doesn't mean you're xenophobic, doesn't mean you're anti-immigrant. It means it affects the economy, it affects the health in this country, the fentanyl
Well, it's
crisis.
too bad that Trump didn't finish the wall then.
Yeah,
Oh, it's Trump's fault about the border. Trump was the one who let in record numbers of migrants, not Biden. You know, these people are so delusional. You didn't want him to build the wall in the first place. And now you're complaining, oh, he didn't finish it, therefore we have an immigration crisis. Yeah, ridiculous.
I was just going to say that.
The wall was never the solution.
What did he do?
The wall was never the solution.
Wall was never the solution, really. So what are these people, how are they getting here then? They're flying? Oh, there are people who fly in. Are taking boats? Yeah, there are people who take boats in. There are people who legally cross the border checkpoints. Probably. I mean, I don't know. They're really good about checking that stuff. They got dogs and everything. So maybe there is nobody crossing at the border checkpoints. But the wall is a solution to people walking across the border. The wall is a solution to people making this trek and going, hey, I want to get in, and they have to go to a border checkpoint, and they're like, oh, we can't get in because we're illegals. Oh, darn. Now, if you listen to Ed Calderon, check him out if you are interested in the border and this sort of thing. But he's like, dude, the cartels have trebuchets that they launch drugs over the border with, over the wall. So, yeah, I think that there is a solution to this problem. There definitely is a solution to the problem.
Said that for years, but we have the most border crossings in history right now, and I feel like Biden is treating it like it's just not an issue that matters, and voters are saying, please fix it.
People out there, I think, need to understand that it's not just him, it's the Republican Party right now. It is in some kind of crazy phase where all they want to do is stick it to the Democrats and hope that, for example...
Okay, so when do these people ever claim differently about the Republican Party? All I ever hear is the Republican Party is coming after the Democrats. The Republican Party are radicals. Those are the two things that I hear. They're just doing this to get the Democrats. They're just doing this because they're radicals. That's it. That's the only reason why. It's all just a game to them. Okay, well, what are the Democrats doing then? They're doing the same thing.
This is what I wanted to say here. 15 of the Republican state governors currently opted out of a food assistance program that is going to leave 8 million needy children hungry. That is what the Republican Party is doing right now.
Sure about that? That seems rather black and white. I mean, we live in the richest country ever in the history of humanity with enough food storage to feed the entire world. More than once over. I think there's enough food to go around to feed children. There's probably some rider with this bill, or it's just like something that's like, well, we're just throwing money at a problem that's already been solved. Where are these 8 million children that are starving in the country, in the United States? I mean, I see fat homeless people. How is that even possible? There are so many programs on a local level, on a state level, to deal with these homeless situations that the homeless people don't even partake in them. There are soup kitchens all over the place. You can go down right here. I know exactly where to go. I'm not even homeless. I know exactly where to go if I want to get food if I'm homeless. It's a few miles away.
Forget about the border for a second and concentrate for a minute on these anti-abortion people, anti-choice people.
Oh, it's really about abortion, not about choice. It's about abortion, not choice. She just said it.
Forget about the border for a second and concentrate for a minute on these anti-abortion people.
Not only that, but she wants us to forget about the border. The problem that it seems like, from what I've seen, most people in this country think is the number one crisis facing this country right now. I don't know if it is the number one crisis facing the country right now, but it's certainly in the top 5. And it's something that we could easily solve. That's the thing. Like, it just doesn't. This is happening by choice. This is happening, and it's something we could fix.
Who don't seem to care that 8 million children will be hungry.
Well, federally,
that is the hypocrisy and the irony.
Does anybody actually ever starve to death in the United States today?
I haven't said anything?
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so I understand you're putting it into context, and only 5% of people showed up, and I understand what you're saying at the population, but Trump won 98 out of 99 Iowa counties that did vote, and out of those, he lost the 99th by just 1 vote. So the notion somehow that that is just not representative of Iowa, I think is actually a little bit misleading because...
Wow, an actual voice of reason in the yammering. I'm impressed. Because Sonny Hostin never has anything of value to say to add to these conversations. It's interesting.
Iowa, 5% of the population shows up. I don't think that's representative in general.
Iowa nominated Barack Obama. Like, I don't feel like you can...
I think it is a little bit disingenuous to say that that 5% is not reflective of the rest of Iowa. The other thing I wanted to say was...
Yeah, I mean, my relatives who live in Iowa say, yeah, this is the worst administration we've ever had. Now, I have a friend who lives in Iowa who says, like, no, Trump was the worst administration we ever had. You be the judge.
But based on
Wait, let her finish.
Well, Trump's share was 51%. DeSantis finished a pretty distant second at 21%, and Nikki Haley at 19%. So I think we're all sitting here disgusted that they would vote for someone like this. But I don't think that it is so outrageous that they did, because, I mean, we could have figured that out without the caucus.
Yeah, we knew.
It is something that we knew was going to happen. It's not a shock.
Yeah.
You know, I do like the idea that it's 5% because, you know, where did everybody else go?
They don't participate
What was
in
that?
the caucus.
They stayed home in their pajamas.
Well, that's the thing that you have to keep in mind.
That's historically the number, by the way. 3 to 5% of Iowa participates in caucuses historically.
It's not
But this was
unusual.
also a smaller turnout
Because
than
of the
prior
weather.
because of the weather.
But it's not
Okay.
unusual.
But it's something to keep in mind. Listen, this is like a dusting. This is like when you blow some air with your thing and you see what moves around. The note for Democrats is not that. The note for Democrats is you better figure out what you want, because it all comes down to the same thing. You either want this America or you want the other America.
Well, look, I personally am doing better under Biden than I was under Trump, right? My wife's business is doing better. Why? Probably coincidence. But he paid off my student loans without me asking. I was eligible for $20,000 in student loan debt forgiveness. I didn't get $20,000. I got a lot more than that. I was even sent checks from the government. I don't know why, but they said it was for my student loans. I'm like, I don't know what this is all about. I did not ask for this, but that's what happened. So I'm doing better, but it's not about me. It's about who is best, what is best for the country. Look at gas prices since Biden got in. They've come down quite a bit. Oh, thank you. But they're still more than twice what they were under Trump. The economy in the first 2 years of Trump was doing much better than it is under Biden. And COVID screwed up the second half of Trump's term, but what can you do? I don't know. It's you make the decision who's going to be the best candidate for the country when you vote. That's what you do. And I think that Trump was a better option than Biden. I didn't vote for Trump, but out of the two, if I had to choose one, it would have been Trump.
That's what it's about. It's very simple.
That's right. Yeah.
It's
That's right.
this America where, you know, there's folks are saying, you know, you don't belong, you can't be here, you are not welcome, blah, blah, blah. It's either.
Yes, that's the way it should be. We can't just let everybody come here. We can't go, you believe in beheading the third-born son of every woman. That's probably not a good idea. We should probably not let those people in. I don't know what to tell you. Well, as long as they abide by the law. No, because they'll eventually become a majority and vote for these sorts of things to happen.
That America
And screw
or
the
the America
Constitution.
or the America where when people say that, we say that's not true. You can't do that. This is what the Constitution says. That's the America I want. I want
But I thought you wanted to have Trump removed from the ballot all over the country.
to fight that stuff.
I like
We all
that.
do.
I like that
that's
America.
you know, because we're not going to change overnight. We're still always going to look and say, well, I don't know if you're supposed to be here, you know, because that's what.
Show me where in the Constitution it says we're supposed to just let anybody and everybody come here and become a citizen and get all. Not only are they becoming citizens, but it's illegal. So far, we haven't seen a mass push to just make these people citizens. But they are getting free food, free housing, free education, and free healthcare. It's not free, mind you. It's not free. My taxes pay for it when they should be paying for things that benefit me.
Human beings do. They always look for someone to blame it on.
It's a scapegoat.
So I'm just saying that I'm not going to let, say, Brian scapegoat me right now because he wants me to get to the fact that Sonny has a legal note.
Hit it, Sonny.
Trump has denied all sexual assault allegations.
Well, he's already been found liable, has
yes,
he not?
Yes, he has. And
Okay.
in fact, this defamation trial that he's now facing again is because after he was found guilty of sexually assaulting her, he then defamed her again.
Well, if anybody knows about defamation, as these five right here. Anyway, thank you for watching. I do appreciate everybody stopping by. If you made it this far in, good on you. And here's your palate cleanser.
Pégale, a ver.